Welcome to the Insurance Agency Success Podcast, the only podcast that helps insurance agencies grow their business while increasing their happiness and joy. I'm Eddie Price, founder of Jenesis Software and an agency owner for more than 30 years. I have started, bought, sold, and scaled agencies, and for the last 25 years, helped others do the same through Jenesis. On this show, you're going to hear real stories and proven strategies to help you streamline your operations, increase profits, and really enjoy the business that you've built. And if you'd like to learn more about what we do here at Jenesis Software, just visit genesissoftware.com, click on the orange button to request a demo. So today's episode is going to be great. I sat down with Mike with Chamberlain Insurance, and there's a lot of information to unpack here. I'm so excited for you to take a little time and listen to this conversation. We talk about what Mike has done with his CRM, how he's paired it up with his agency management system, and he's struck gold with this process. 90% retention rate, 15% year-over-year growth. He talks about how he creates his goals and how he reaches his goals. He talks about joy at work and how he finds joy at work. And I found tremendous inspiration there. And he also talks about how niching down to a specific industry for commercial insurance turn things around for them. So a thriving agency, 8 wonderful team members, been in business since 1988. I think you're going to like this episode a lot. All right. So, Mike, I know you're busy, and I'm very grateful for you taking the time to do this. I appreciate you showing up and being here.
No, you're very welcome. I was looking forward to it.
Were you really?
You. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some people love doing this or like it, and some people say, oh, I'll do it, but don't want to do it. So, but I do appreciate it. It means a lot to me, and I know you really are busy. Our goal is just for you and I to chat, and the name of the podcast is Insurance Agency Success Podcast. So kind of hopefully, if you're like me, you've had this blend of failure and success in this business over the years. So that's a lot of times valuable, insight that we're able to share with other people just through a natural conversation. Certainly, neither one of us would show up here, I don't think, and say, let me tell you how to be successful, because I figured it all out. But we can certainly share things that we have learned and what we've had work and what we've seen not work. Before we get into that, and I was telling you before we started recording, I don't really know your whole backstory. You've been a Jenesis customer for about how long? I should have looked before this meeting.
I'm going to say, I was thinking about that earlier. I'm going to say in the neighborhood of about 7 years or so.
Okay. Sounds about right to me. So you've been a Jenesis customer for 7 years. You and I have had a few conversations over the years, not a ton. So
Absolutely.
What I would like to start with is tell me about your agency. So, who does your agency serve? Almost tell me like you'd be doing a commercial for your agency.
Sure.
How do you help people? What do you do? Where are you? And all that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're located in Portland, Oregon. Been in the same office here myself since 1988, so it's been a while. I started out as the young guy, and now I'm the old guy. So we're an independent agency. We sell personal insurance and commercial insurance, a little bit of life insurance, but it's mostly property and casualty. And some of the main carriers around the area, Progressive, Safeco, Travelers, Liberty Mutual, some of the more prominent names we use. And we've just tried to have a good quality group of people here, which we are fortunate to have, feel blessed every day, to try to separate ourselves a little bit from some of the other options in town here, as far as on the service side. And so we try to develop a reputation here to have good service. And so, like I said, really lucky, got a young group of people that it's like the new generation of insurance industry. And so it's been nice for me to, like I said, come in as a young guy way back in the late 80s. And over time, just sometimes it seems like more failures than success, but that's how you just stay in it and keep learning and get better and able to pass some of that on to the younger guys and ladies.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think success, more than anything, probably is determined by time. it more so than just finding a silver bullet or the magic bullet or magic wand.
Yeah, I've got a background with coaching, and so mostly basketball, like little kids up through high school. And so that's the way we used to talk about it then was you're going to fail sometimes more than you succeed, but it's a matter of learning from it and then succeeding at the right time when it counts. So maybe you're learning the left-handed layup in practice and missing it over and over, but then in the game, you're able to make that shot. And so I use a lot of those comparisons with managing people here. So we're just going to, you have your moments when you're not successful selling, but it's just a matter of getting back on the phone and keep trying and learn from the mistakes. You don't keep duplicating the same mistake over and over. You can learn from it and get better.
Agreed. I was thinking earlier today actually about the concept of closing ratio. And here at Jenesis, which, we are not in the insurance agency business. I have been for many years, but in the software business, we track closing ratios. And you may track closing ratios. I did in the agency. But the tricky thing about closing ratios is if that were all you tracked instead of total sales and that kind of thing, then that would influence you and motivate you to possibly stack the deck on who you're pitching, who you're selling your, in our case, demo and software to, or who you're quoting in your case, if that's all you did was track closing ratio, because you could get your closing ratio really high if you filtered out everybody that was not a likely candidate, versus just trying to get the most times at bat, so to speak, to try to increase your total output, your total sales. And you've heard the stories talking about sports for many years that people who have had the greatest success and the greatest stats in professional sports often were people who had also the greatest number of failures, the greatest strikeouts or whatever. So every shot you don't take is, what is that saying? Something like that. Every shot you don't take is definitely one you're not going to get, or something like that.
Right. Exactly. And we talk along the same lines. That's a good point. If you want to have, let's say, 50 sales in a month, if your close ratio's 50%, you only have to talk to 100 people. But if your close ratio is 10%, you're talking to a lot more people.
Yes.
So you got to do one of two things, or sometimes both. You got to talk to more people and also just get better at your close ratio. So you track the whole process. Maybe you're closing 80%, but if you're only talking to 10 people a month,
exactly.
So you got to do both. You got to increase the volume of people you're talking to. And then there's the issue there of the quality and trying to filter out the ones that are, less likely to close through the things you were talking about.
Right. Qualifying
so,
people.
Yeah, so it's both.
It is both.
Back to the sports thing.
Yeah.
You either got to increase your shooting percentage or you got to take more shots.
Yeah. And probably both to get the best outcome overall over time. Okay, this is interesting then. So you started in this, so you're with Chamberlain Insurance, and in 1988, Chamberlain Insurance was already an agency, is that right? And you joined the agency. Is that a family agency, or were you coming on as a producer?
Steve, going back in time here quite a bit, Steve and Kathy Chamberlain founded the agency in 1982, right in this building. I started working here when I was right out of college, so just turned 22, so late 88. Worked for them for many years. And then myself and Rachel, who I've worked with here together for over about 30 years now, we purchased the agency from Steve and Kathy when they wanted to retire. And so that was about 10 years ago now. And they've since passed away, unfortunately, but they've been in the same place for that many years. So we kept the name just as a memory to them. Plus, I think we also struggled to get used to saying a different name. We've been saying the same name here for so long. So, we've hired, like I said, a good group of people around us now. We've got about, I think it's eight of us here. So
okay, yeah, that was going to be one.
So we've been here for a while. Same building, same everything.
Yeah,
I'm a creature of habit, I suppose.
Well, if it ain't broke, right? So whatever's working. Right. You've got me beat, but not by much. And I didn't know any of this. So I came out of, what year did you graduate college?
88.
Me too. I'm 59. Are you about 59, give or take?
Yeah, I'll be 60 this summer.
Okay, I'll be 60 in April. What month is your birthday?
August.
Mine's April, so I'm a few months wiser than you are.
Yes. Yeah. I'll grant you that. Yeah.
And I came out of college, and I think a few months later, joined Farm Bureau. Do you have Farm Bureau in your area? Farm Bureau
No.
Insurance?
No.
You
Well,
don't?
farmers.
Okay.
Is that the same?
It's different. It's different.
Oh, okay. Different.
So
Okay.
I joined Farm Bureau Insurance in my hometown, actually. Moved back home, and I did that for a few years and then started my agency in 91. So had no idea. We started really
Yeah, very similar.
very, very similar time frame there. So you said that you guys are doing personal and commercial mostly. And is that an even split, or is it heavy on one side or the other?
It's fairly even. I would say 10 years ago, it leaned more personal lines. And so the commercial has grown faster, where maybe in 5 years from now, it will be a little more heavy on the commercial side because that's been the trend. But right now, it's about even.
Do you feel equally committed to both? Or is there one that you wish, if you were waving a magic wand, you'd be heavier on one than the other?
No, I think we're committed to both, I would say. I think the future of independent insurance agencies probably leans a little bit more towards the commercial side. I think with the different avenues people can buy personal insurance, we'll see how that plays out the next several years. So diversifying to be able to do both, I think, is important. Yeah, we'll just see what the people buying insurance online is one thing. With the AI coming around the corner and everything, I think that's probably more likely that people would buy personal insurance that way in the future compared to commercial. I think there's some more variables to the commercial side where they'll be talking to people at an independent level, more likely.
Especially for a while. And, when I first started going to work for a direct writer at Farm Bureau in 89, we started hearing then, and especially Farm Bureau was saying it, but I heard it a lot, that the independent agency network is going out. It's just not going to last long. And that was 1988. That's been a long, long time ago. So most of this stuff doesn't change overnight as far as how things shift usually. So over the years, I'm guessing you've had some years that were better than others, some seasons that were better than others. Has it been a direct growth trajectory, or has it been up and down? What's that been like?
It's been generally steady and consistent. There's been a handful of years maybe that were down. I don't know that I can pinpoint a reason for that necessarily. One point in time when we made a nice leap forward, which has set the blueprint for what we've done the last quite a few years, was around the 2008 housing crisis, financial crisis. So in this area, and it's probably similar throughout much of the country, but in the state of Oregon, roughly 40% of all the contractors in the area went out of business. So what most of the insurance agencies around here, what they did back then was they wanted to get away from insuring contractors that were failing left and right, probably struggling to pay their premiums, all the things that come with that. For good reason. There was, the economy had dropped out in the housing market. So we, maybe a little bit of luck. I don't want to claim to have any superior vision or anything like that, but we did decide to go the other direction on that. Instead of with everybody else running away from it, we went after all the contractors that were left. And so we dealt with guys who were, let's say, building 20 homes a year, and we're down to maybe building 1 or 2, but they were trying to get into remodel, something to stay afloat. And so no one wanted to touch them anymore. And so we worked with them and picked them up as much smaller contractors now that the market had changed so much for them. But they stayed loyal to us. And as they rebuilt their business, the economy slowly got a little better over time. A lot of them haven't forgotten that and said, hey, you were the only one that would talk to us at the time when we were struggling. So they've stayed with us. And we really developed out the construction side of things here for the office. We have about 1,200 contractors insured now.
Wow.
So for our little office, that's a fair amount.
That is.
We've got about 4,500 clients, and about 11 or 1,200 are contractors. So we try not to say the word expertise, but we have experience with that industry. And so we have done really well with that. And I think it was by just going against the stream there a little bit as far as what everybody else was doing. So that was a moment in time when things really, it laid the foundation for what we've done the last 15 years or so.
So by you focusing on those contractors during that time versus just kind of steering away from them or going to more personal lines or going to some other type of commercial, then now you have a big percentage of your commercial business being contractors. That's what you're saying, right? That was the
yes.
That was the direction
exactly.
and that's continued to pay off today. And
so that was a defining moment back to that whole thing up and down. That was a big up for us.
Yeah.
When everybody else was kind of getting away from them, we welcomed working with them.
Yeah.
So, as a group. So,
and I think that many agencies can benefit from, many businesses can benefit from a niche. So like with us, we don't do software for anybody, and we don't do marketing services and websites for anybody. We just work with people like you. We just work with insurance agencies. So, and I think insurance agencies can do the same thing. We've got customers, agencies that use our product that all they do is motorcycle. Or that's what their focus is. They may do more things, but we got another one that does big nationwide in RV insurance, and they're insuring big RVs, and they become experts. So people tend to think, when they're looking for RV insurance, they find this agency that's they're experts in it. So you're more likely to gravitate toward them. And then they can sell you your auto and your home as well, and work comp or whatever.
We kind of look at a couple of things. We look at, this is just kind of a real basic model I've used. One is, do we have a competitive product for somebody? Two, can we make money at it? If we're going to sell $100 policies all day, you're not going to make a lot of money. So we're looking for something that, quite frankly, you can make a profit on as an agent. And the third thing is, are there enough of them out there? So if you've got a competitive product, you can make money, but there's only two of those people in town to sell to, that limits your ability. But if there's a lot of them, so those three things: competitive product, is there money to be made? And three, are there enough of them to go after and get your fair share of? And so construction definitely fit that for us. There's good premiums in it. We have good products. We have some good knowledge to go with it too over the years. And there's plenty of contractors. So
yes. Years ago, have you ever been to some of these small towns? I've experienced them in mountain towns where they would have these little shops in the mountain town. You walk around and there would be this store that would sell taffy, and there would be a big old taffy machine in there that kind of does some kind of things. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And have you seen those machines that
yes.
And I don't know if I'm right or not, but I remember a buddy of mine, and we joked about it 20 years ago. I assume there's not many of those in the nation, compared to how many contractors there are, how many RVs there are. So our joke was, man, we need to go into the taffy making machine insurance business, because that's where we can really make some money. The joke was, you're probably going to find 4 or 5 in each state, and then you're done. I could be wrong. There could be more of those things, but it seemed like something kind of weird that there wasn't a lot of those out there to be successful with. So currently, do you guys operate your business in a way where you're setting goals?
Yes, we do.
And a little bit of a smile when you said that, so I don't know what that means. But are they written goals, and do you update them, and do you track them, measure them?
Yeah, we do. The smile is just because I'm kind of a planner type, and so
me too.
Everybody here has to put up with that. But
same here too.
yeah, and so I talk in terms of having a vision for the company, having goals, then having a plan, having the right people, the right tools. And I like to include the people in most of those processes. So I call it buy-in. When they're part of the planning, they tend to buy in more. And so I'll have just overall goals for the business, but then I'll break it down per team, per individual person. And some of it's number goals as far as production goes, and some of it is other goals, like maybe they're going to want to improve education professionally for their specific role. That can be more formal, it can be informal. We'll set up training where we get together once a month and we have a specific topic with a specific person. We're going to learn about X or whatever. And that's going to be on this year for this year kind of thing. So yeah, I've got a lot of specific goals. We have growth goals, quality, loss ratio goals, profitability, all those kind of things that are kind of more numbers. But people don't always get super excited about that part of it. So I try to break it out where it's more personalized and then give them autonomy to meet their specific goal and then team goals as well. So yeah, that's a big part of what we do.
Okay. Yeah. Many agencies don't. And I did that back in my day when I was young because I'm apparently like you. I've always been big on budgeting and planning and goals, all those things. But most of agency owners that I knew at the time, and still most agencies are not writing goals down and planning them and then measuring. If they do, then it's like people do New Year's resolutions often, where they'll come up with 2 or 3 New Year's resolutions. And the next time they think about that resolution or pull it up and study it and monitor it is 1 year later when it's time to do the next year. So have you always done that? When you joined the agency in 88, at what point did you start creating goals?
Back then, I just had my goals for myself, being that I was a producer. I wasn't worried about the other parts of it, but it's just a little bit part of my personality. And back to the sports analogy with coaching, we would have specific goals as a team and individual goals for players for growth, maybe leadership type possibilities. And then when we have like a team defense or an offense or whatever, we would include not every player all the time, but maybe the leadership team, the captains, for example, in developing the defense. So get their input. And I always felt that there was a little more buy-in from the players, making sure they know, well, we're going to make the final decision on things as a coaching staff. But if they are part of designing it to some degree, there's more buy-in and hopefully more execution, because you can tell someone to do, like, for example, here, make 20 phone calls. They can go through the motion of making them, but if they're enthusiastically buying into the process because they helped build the process, you're going to see better results from those 20 phone calls inherently because of the attitude and effort that goes into it. Same thing with a sports analogy. We used to run a full court press once in a while, like any other basketball team. And you can go through the motions of doing it, and then at the end say, well, it didn't work. Well, it's because you were, half-assing it a little bit. But if you helped build it and you bought into it, you're going to be more accountable to yourself and to your teammates. So same thing with the small business.
I agree. And I think that goes back to, you were talking about the people on the team earlier. You've got to have the right people on the team. And right. Because if I tell you, Mike, here's your goal, I'm giving you the goal. And now if you're the right person and you believe that what I'm doing is a good thing and you believe that's a great way to get where we need to go, then you might go out and execute that really well. But if you think, oh my gosh, he's wanting me to do this thing, then that thing is not, it's going to fail. You're self-sabotaging it. You believe it won't happen. So, they say whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right. So I think you're right. I think it's critical to have the right person and then for that person to buy in on this whole mission that we're doing as a team. Have you ever heard of the business framework called EOS?
No.
Okay.
At least I don't recognize it yet.
So after this meeting, after this recording, when you get a chance, do a little research on EOS. It stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System.
Okay.
It's been around, I'm not sure how long, 15 years or more. There's a book called Traction, and the guy who wrote the book, come up with this EOS concept. And I don't know if it's millions or not, but it is probably millions of businesses probably around the world use this framework. You would enjoy learning about it, whether you adopt it or not. The book is great. I read it 10 or 15 years ago, adopted a lot of its principles. It's very much like you're thinking. It's pretty cool. And there are people now for a number of years, 10 years or more, that have gotten certified as EOS implementers. They'll come in, and it's pretty expensive, but it's worth it. If you've got a team of your size, they can really do some things that make it cool for your business. We won't go into it here. We started it. I implemented parts of it 10 or 15 years ago from reading the book. And then 2 or 3 years ago, we bought an implementer in, and spent the money. And they really, because sometimes that outside person can really see things that you don't see and kind of help you move forward differently.
I made a note. I'll take a look at it.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it. It might be something based on the things you're saying. You might like that a lot.
Good. Yeah.
I know you and I've talked about this a couple times, and I think there'll be some listeners that would be interested in this. At some point, you guys decided that in addition to an agency management system, that you would benefit from having a CRM as well. I actually wrote a blog a couple of months ago about what the difference is and why agencies normally need both, in my opinion. Could you share just a little bit when you started, kind of how that went? When did you start thinking you needed a CRM? What problem were you trying to solve? And about how long did you implement that? And what has that done for you?
The CRM we use is essentially a pipeline, and we have in the pipeline a handful of different channels. So I'll just look at like the personal lines. For example, we have a new business pipeline, and then we have what we call a review pipeline, which would be existing clients that we want to, maybe they're coming up for renewal, and we want to take a look at where they're at with their current coverage with us. So the new business, the bottom line is we're trying to be more efficient. So we look at about 14, 15% growth per year for the agency. And so over about 5 years, that would double the size of the agency. And so what I'm trying to avoid doing is having to double the size of the staff every 5 years. So we're looking to become more efficient so we can see the growth, but manage it without the same rate of growth in payroll, quite frankly. So we use Nutshell as our pipeline. And so it allows us to manage a large volume of quote requests to come in, and it gives visibility for everybody in the office to be able to see what's going on. So one agent doesn't have their quotes separated, and let's say they're on the phone or away from the office or something, and someone was to call in a prospect and had already received a quote, and you can't find it, or you kind of become an investigator to figure out what was going on. So everything's noted in there. It's all shared information and creates a lot of visibility for the entire staff. You can see the movement of the process as it goes through the system. So the big thing is efficiency for us. It's just transparency and efficiency within the team. We'll have a quote request come in where we can either take the quote over the phone from somebody, and it's entered into a system that drops it right into the pipeline as a lead, gets assigned to a producer. The other way is they can fill it out on our website, or we can send them a link, depending on how people like to give us the information. And it just drops it right into the new lead in the pipeline. It goes into a quote review process where we might be checking different markets, maybe getting additional information from the prospect, sending out the proposal. And so it continues to move through the pipeline. And then there's a follow-up system we use. We send out an email, a follow-up phone call. If it's a sale, we call it a one lead, the WIN one, and would get issued. Then it would, at that point, transfer over into the AMS as a client. And through the customer management system, it also will send out a welcome kit if they were to purchase the policy. And also it enters them automatically into a drip campaign. It's what we call a smart campaign, I guess you would call it, where it'll know if they bought just an auto insurance, then the drip campaign, one of the things it'll do is ask for cross-selling opportunities, but with other products. So if they bought an auto home umbrella, for example, we're not going to do a drip campaign to sell them a home and an umbrella when they already have it with us. So it'll be somewhat intuitive with regard to that. But it'll ask for referrals, Google reviews, like I said, the cross-sell opportunities, but not just sales. We try to give them other information that would be of value to them, maybe seasonal things like how to take care of your preventing frozen pipes, things like that are kind of generic in a way, but maybe things of value to people with certain industries, whether it's a auto dealership or contractor. It'll send them industry news, not just about insurance related topics, but maybe something going on in the industry that impacts the construction industry or grocery stores or whatever it is. So it'll be somewhat customized to them. The other thing that's kind of neat it can do is that when they get information from us, the system can tell when they looked at something and how long they looked at it. So if they clicked on something in the little article, like maybe on pets, for example, if they were interested in the pet in some article, then it'll know to send them a follow-up maybe a month later on pet insurance or something like
nice.
that. So it's pretty sharp, pretty good. But that's the difference between the two. The agency management system we kind of think of as being like the long-term file cabinet, so to speak, where it keeps all the record of everything. But the nutshell or the pipeline is what we use kind of to process the lead through the system.
I've heard people say the AMS keeps your business organized. The CRM grows your business.
Yeah, that's fair.
Somewhat.
Yeah, really fair.
Let me ask you about the welcome kit. So you said it automatically sends a welcome kit to new customers, right?
Correct.
Can you tell me what am I going to get in the mail? I get something in the mail, like a gift, or what am I getting?
We used to do a welcome kit through the mail. Okay. We found that the cost, there's probably a little bit of a benefit to send it through the mail, quite frankly, because they get something in their hands to look at. But the cost, we thought was not worth it anymore. So we do an electronic welcome kit. Again, it's not quite as nice as getting something in the mail, but it's way more efficient for us to do it. Also, it's easier to customize it. So we have a content library that we can pull specific information about what they purchased and include it in the welcome kit. So we like that. It's a little more efficient use for us just on the cost of printing and postage, that side of it, but also on customizability for us. So we like that part of it. And we try to have a consistent message. So what we're looking at doing is selling what we call benefits. So we're not trying to be the cheapest all the time or least expensive. We can't compete in that world all the time. So We're not trying to be that.
Right.
So we're promoting benefits. So for example, auto insurance, we may include things like cash back for like claims-free cash back, it's called. Every 6 months, you don't have a claim, you get a check in the mail. Or OEM parts. So we're not going to use used or gray market, aftermarket parts to repair a car. It's going to be manufacturer new parts. So we'll promote that in the sales process, but we like to remind people of what they bought.
Right.
And so in the welcome kit, we'll include that kind of language if that's in fact what they have. And then in the drip campaign and follow-up information we send out, it's kind of a reminder, you bought this, it included this benefit, and that's when we might ask for referrals, or we also offer home insurance that has similar benefits on the home side. And so it's kind of just repeating the original sales aspect of what we were trying to promote to them. And so with the welcome kit being electronic, we can go in and customize those things a little bit easier. We've got, so it's kind of built out with templates that we wouldn't be able to do if you're printing something and dropping it in the mail.
I love all that. And I think the agencies that do better, like you guys, are the ones who are paying attention to all these little pieces, these little nuances. We started a thing last year, a campaign here, and we're calling it something like Customers' Unexpected Experience Map. So we have this map that we've created that we're trying to create unexpected experiences. So when people schedule a demo with us, they might get at least, they're going to get an email from the person they scheduled the demo with, but they will get an automatic video from me. It's automated, so I'm not really doing every one, but it's me walking with my camera saying, hey, I saw you just scheduled a demo. Really excited for you to take a look at our product. Hope we can, work together. Kind of that extra, something that's kind of unexpected. And then when people sign up, they get a welcome kit like you're talking about. Now, we've started using this company that it's automated from our system, and it connects into Jenesis automatically, into Jenesis Reach, Jenesis Link, and Jenesis Now. But it'll actually send them physical things. And that budget has gotten pretty high. So we've been spending a lot of money this year. So you should, if you haven't gotten anything yet, you should be automatically getting things every now and then, like once a year. And some of the things we're sending out are kind of fun. There'll be like a coffee cup, and it'll have your name on it. So instead of us sending something to you with our name on it, which is what most businesses have always done, they'll give a gift to the customer promoting themselves. We're trying to give things out. That's good. That's got your stuff on it. So I like it. I just think that's fun. Everything like you're describing, and all these connections, these contacts, customer touches is such a big deal. So I'm guessing if I'm saying, okay, Mike, if you're going to give advice to an agency out here wanting to grow, I'm assuming, but correct me if I'm wrong, you would say 100% they need an agency management system. They need some agency management system. Would that be true?
Oh, yeah.
It's not a 50-50 thing. I mean, they definitely need an agency management system. And from what I'm hearing you say, you feel the same way about a CRM. You definitely need a CRM. It's not a toss-up.
So, yeah, I'll give you a longer answer, but it does, I think, answer the question. And that is that for many, many years, we did not have even an AMS. And we had 38 file cabinets in the office.
Not 38 actually, but I've had a lot.
Yeah, it was, I think about a third of this whole office was taken up by file cabinets. So the conversion, we kept putting it off, but as the longer you put it off, because you got to take all those paper files and convert them into electronic files. It took about 1.5 years to do that once we committed to doing it. But having done it, it's hard to believe we survived as long as we did. And I think the longer you wait, the bigger the problem becomes. There were many, the old days here, it wasn't that long ago, it was about 10 years ago, taking home, multiple files so I could work from home. We even had we realized we had like a Twitch problem here for a long time. And that was, you'd see the name come in on the phone, you had to take a phone call. So before you wanted to get on the phone, you wanted to run down the hall and get their file cabinet or their file from the file cabinet and come back. And even when we got rid of the files, for probably 6 months, Rachel and I were still doing that all the time. It was like, wait, the file cabinets are gone. We don't even have them anymore. We just kind of, we do it for 20 years. Yeah. It's just kind of a knee-jerk reaction. So I would say the sooner you do it, the better. And to be in the modern world, there's no real alternative, in my opinion, if you're going to stick around. That's with the AMS. And then with the pipeline, I would say one of the 2 or 3 most important things we've ever done. I think it has been a game changer for us and how we can manage new leads, renewals. We've run all of our renewals through that system, and it's another point of contact with the customers. We're actually doing something material for them, reviewing their policy, giving them recommendations, maybe finding something cheaper, or at least letting them know you looked, and giving them some specific feedback. So one of the things I remember going to a class several years ago, and they talked about one of the differences where the direct writers have an advantage over the independent agents, and it's communication with the customers. A lot of the direct writers, Progressive or Geico, and we use both actually on an independent side, but if you buy a policy from them directly, they are really good about communicating with you. It might be junk mail, so to speak, or whatever, or emails you don't read, but you're getting information from them all the time. Independent agents have a weakness there. I think the stats they had were something like there's 18 communications a year from that direct carrier bought something from online, or even over the 1-800 number, versus an independent that's like maybe twice a year you hear from them, and usually it's a bill from the insurance company. So we're trying to close that gap and have more communication with them along those lines.
Yeah, and I think, in my opinion, and what I've experienced and observed over the years, is that many independent insurance agencies start because the guy who starts it or the lady who starts it, they're an insurance agent. Maybe they've been an insurance agency, an agent somewhere else, and they think, oh, I want to run a business. Just like if I like to go to a restaurant and eat, I think I want to start a restaurant. Some of the things you've talked about today, just your natural desire to want to know numbers, create goals, follow numbers, means you're kind of a systems guy, you're a process guy. And that's pretty typical, in my experience, with a business owner. But a lot of agencies are owned, and this is not, I don't mean to be slamming the agency owner there, but they're a great agent. Probably some of these people are far better agent than I ever was, because I really wanted to run a business and I wanted to grow the business and I wanted to hire agents. I wanted to, do all the marketing stuff back in those days. And I think so many agency owners are good agents, but not good business people. So they're not, what you've done, I guarantee you, people will watch this episode and they'll say, whoa, I wish I had all these systems set up like Mike is talking about, that he's got all this stuff set up. These things are going out to new welcome kit and renewal stuff and all this. But then they'll finish watching or listening to the episode and they won't go do it, because they'll go answer the phone or call somebody back they're supposed to call back, quote a policy. And so either, and I don't know, it's not really easy for that person to transition either. You're who you are, and you've probably always been this way. You didn't probably have to learn and work hard to try to get more interested in organization, I'm guessing, in numbers and all that. So these people either, if they don't have it, I need to hire somebody that's going to do that, do all these, set up these systems for them, or they'll keep getting beat by people like Progressive who've got great systems already in place. And the funny thing too, Mike, is if you ask most agencies, why are you special? You know what most everybody says? They say, we take care of our people, we provide good service. And in reality, they're providing less quality service, and they're not taking the time and investing as these, what they would look at as these big companies that they think are cold and not communicating well. And like you just said, they're communicating very well. They're very intentional about the relationship they have with these people.
Yeah, it's a big advantage, no doubt. I think just along the lines of what you're talking about, I'm more of a administrative role now. I do sell still, without question, but I kind of make sure all the systems are in place and people are able to do their job, which is in itself a job when you've got 8, 10 people or whatever to manage. So I think back in my sales day, I was probably average. I wasn't a great salesperson per se, but I did use the organizational part to just keep showing up and doing it. Over time, you can get pretty good at it. But I don't think I was ever naturally a great salesperson, quite frankly. I've got some great ones here now, luckily. And that's what I have them do, is sell. But the point that caught my attention to what you're mentioning, we meet with a lot of people that are starting businesses. And so the insurance is one aspect of it. And we look to be a resource for them, not just sell them insurance and send them on their way. So if they need an accountant, or they need an attorney, or they need just general insight that we've seen over the years, when people succeed, when they fail. So to your point, a lot of these guys, let's just go back to the construction option. So a guy works for somebody else, he can swing a hammer like nobody else, but he wants to go out and start his own company. And he realizes, well, there's more to this than just showing up at the job and framing a house or whatever he's going to do, build cabinets. So the ones that we see that are successful can either do both parts, manage the business and swing the hammer, or hire someone or partner with someone that can do the business side of it. Those are the ones that are successful. Sometimes it's a husband and wife. The husband might be the guy out on the job sites all day, and we don't talk to him more than twice a year. but the wife runs the business from the home. And so if that's the skill set they each have, then great. And we build a relationship here with the wife over the phone, because she's the one paying the bills and calling to get information on new coverages they need for certain jobs. Really learns the business side of it. And the husband, as long as, things are moving along, he's just out on the job all day, and he doesn't want to deal with it. You always tell people, you don't want to sit at a kitchen table at night until 10 o'clock every night after you work 12 hours and have to figure out payroll and figure out all the business side of it. So some of them can do it, but sometimes you're just good at one half of it and you need the other half. And so we see that all the time, kind of to the point you were making.
Yeah. One of the things, if you check into that EOS, it says businesses need a visionary and an integrator at the top, because the visionary is coming up with idea after idea, and the integrator is the person that's slowing the pace down a little bit a lot of times and picking the right idea that the visionary is coming up with, and then seeing it through, coming up with the systems to put in place. We'll start winding down. I said this would be 20 to 40 minutes. We're way past either one of those times. And so we may have to do this again in 6 months or a year, if you will. I'll ask a couple quick questions though before we start kind of closing out. If you really want to, that's fine, but these are not really meant to kind of take us down a long conversation. Just a couple things I'm curious about. Do you find joy at work? Do you like what you do?
Yes.
Me too.
I do.
Yeah, me too.
I do. A couple of reasons. One, I like the insurance industry. I know it because I've been doing it for a while. But I think I could enjoy this with different industries in the same setting. My version of being creative, and that is building a business model that can have some success. So I think I could maybe do that in other industries if I knew the industry. I think I would enjoy it at least. So I like that. I like the people. We have people I've had as clients for many, many years. And they're, kind of feel like we really know them well. And so I like that. I also like working with new people when they come in, like I was saying, with a new business owner, where they're, all excited and ready to roll, but they're at the same time apprehensive. And so we like to be a resource for them. And I like that role. And then the biggest reason, though, is that the staff here, I've got great people. So some of them are family, so they have to like me and I have to like them. But there's other people here that I feel are just family as well, that I'm not related to, but I'm really invested in them being successful. So I like to see their success. Yeah. So long answer, but yeah. Yeah.
And I feel the same way. I love, we would, Lisa, we're same age pretty much. Lisa's a few months older than me, but we would sell our business. We would sell the company Jenesis today if we didn't just love it. And we don't know what we would do every day. Because I'm working right now, and this is the coolest thing ever to get to do this, and this is my job talking to you, you know. Have you ever done an acquisition or considered buying another agency or another location?
No.
Okay.
No. Okay. And the reason is we're pretty good at what we're doing, and so I don't want to have a learning curve to something else like that where I might make a mistake when I don't need to. So we get that request quite a bit, but so we've never done it though.
Okay. The time I've done it quite a bit, or 7 or 8 times. And the times that it was the best for me as an agency owner, we've done it here at Jenesis too, done acquisitions, but when it was the best for me as an agency owner was when I could buy an agency down the street that we would send a letter to all of their customers and say, we're merging this agency and this agency, or we've acquired them. Usually I use the word merge, just sounds softer. And I would move those customers into my agency, and I didn't have to have 2 rents, and I might even get an employer or 2, out of that other agency. But those were pretty good deals when they were representing the same companies, carriers pretty much I was representing, or I would get a carrier I didn't have that I wanted. That was nice. So it can be a cool thing. Since you measure numbers, what is your target retention number?
Individual carriers we have different numbers for, depending on the type of business, book of business we have. But for the agency, we're at 90% is our retention goal all across the board for personal and commercial.
Okay. That's strong. Good. Yeah. I figured you would know that number and think about that number since you said you were a numbers guy. I'm going to try to let this be my last question. So a lot of that stuff that you're doing, all that automation, that would probably fall under the category of marketing. A lot of it would, where you're following up with quotes and so on. Do you think much about marketing? Do you invest or spend money in other areas on marketing?
So the thing we do the most is we focus on our SEO. And that's where most business comes from. And so through getting reviews, we ask for reviews. And so we have a fair amount compared to what most agencies in the area have. And so I think that drives when people do a Google search, we just pop up near the top. They see the reviews, and those things combined help. So that's a real efficient use of our time there and return on our efforts. We do have our website, which is managed by Banyan Theory, and they're really good about including language in there that people search for, which helps, and also just some other things they do there that help us out a lot with like a blog and all that kind of stuff.
Well, and all that really kind of comes under the SEO category too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's kind of our main focus, and then we do some targeted emailing where we get a list of contractors through the CCB. We buy the list. We know their renewal dates of their insurance. We know their class codes, so we can target specific email and mail blasts out that go to plumbers or electricians or whatever. We know who they have insurance with, so we can filter it. We know the ones we want to target for advertising. So that's the one area we do some kind of more proactive going out after. And we just, so those are areas. And then we do ask for referrals. We still do the old-fashioned way and cross-sell and try to get referrals from people.
Okay. Have you ever tried paid ads? Like Google ads or Facebook ads?
We dabbled in it a little bit. We get right now, the way we're doing things, we get about 8 to 10 personal lines leads a day. And we get about 6 to 7 commercial lines leads per day with things we're doing. So we've looked at some things like that and kind of, like I said, dabbled in it, but we don't actively do that right this time.
I think, in my experience, paid ads are hard. I think SEO is a must. So I would agree with everything. Kind of what you're doing is paid ads becomes challenging because you've got other people trying to compete for that traffic too, for the paid ads. And so that drives the cost of that click up pretty high. And sometimes it's hard to get enough leads and enough sales to pay for your ad spend with Google or with Facebook. But SEO and reviews, I couldn't agree more that those are huge. All right, I'm just going to stop. Man, I've got so many notes. Is there anything that we've not talked about that you would like to talk about?
No, I appreciate your questions, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you as well. So you actually came up in a meeting. I had a meeting with one of the company reps a couple of days ago, and they were asking about, what are you doing this year just for the goals for the year? And one of them I mentioned was working with you to upgrade our AMS, which, obviously we've been working together on that, and how that fits into the things we've been talking about with just building out efficiency efforts to move forward, kind of like a 5-year plan, basically, that we have. And you're a big part of it. So
good.
Yeah.
We want to deliver that. We love partnering with people. That's when this relationship's fun for us. And it has been for me since day one, 28 years ago. We still have our very first customer from 28 years ago. You were talking about why you like what you do every day. It's because of the team you get to work with and the customers you get to serve. Ditto. I work with 25, 28 amazing people that are so much smarter and kinder than I am that it makes me happy to kind of be with them every day. And we've got customers, like I said, our very first customer from 28 years ago is still a customer. And that's a huge blessing. So we've got a lot of people that have been with us, well over 20 years, customers. So you become pretty good friends with those people. Good to know that. And you go through a lot of life experiences even with them. So if anyone were to say, what's the best advice you could give me, Mike, for my agency because I'm just starting it, or it's just me, I've only been in business a year or two, I'd like to be 8 team members one day and 4,500 customers. That's where I want to go. What simple advice could you give me?
I would say a couple things come to my mind. One is this is kind of old school stuff, but say what you do and do what you say is probably a good place to start. And be really careful and selective about who you hire, and make sure they're intelligent, they're honest, and they're hardworking. I think those three things come to play. And I would also say to make sure you get those people and keep those people. That's the most important part of your business, is the people you work with, and take good care of them, because they're the most valuable asset you have, and let them feel like they're part of the process as well. Like we were talking about before, where they're, they have some autonomy with their own position, but they also feel like they're invested in it, buy-in. So I think those are the kind of the foundational areas. There's obviously a lot of more detail.
Yeah. Success probably is a combination of a whole bunch of things done really well over a long period of time, consistently. But I like what you're saying. Be impeccable with your word is what I'm hearing, and partner with the right people and keep those people.
Right.
Yeah, I like it, all that. If anyone would like to follow up with you and ask you a question, would that be okay?
Yes.
And email be the best way to do that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
All right. What email would they want to use?
MTOTARO@ChamberlainInsurance.com. Chamberlain, CHAMBERLAIN insurance.
Can you spell insurance for me? I'm just kidding.
Yeah. No, don't.
If anyone's watching this podcast and cannot spell insurance, then good luck to them.
It took me a couple of years to figure that one out, but I did eventually do it.
All right, cool. Well, I appreciate it again. This has been great for me. And I did have more things on my list. So maybe a year or two from now, we circle back around and have a part 2 of this.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Mike. Hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
All right. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Insurance Agency Success Podcast, where independent insurance agencies like you get the tools and insights to grow, streamline, and enjoy your business. And if you're ready to simplify and scale, visit JenesisSoftware.com, Genesis with a J, and click on the orange button to request a demo. I appreciate you being here. Keep growing, keep building, and I'll see you next time.